Okay, thank you everyone for joining. So today we are going to see about the scheduler trigger. So we said in a mule flow there are different triggers. We saw an example with a read CSV example. We were using HTTP listener. So a trigger is what starts the flow, and we said a flow is a collection of mule components that process something or that are connected together. And today we are going to see the scheduler trigger. How do we trigger it? How do we use it? What are the different ways to configure it? And then we'll have quizzes, Kahoot questions as usual. And then we are going to see hands-on examples. If you have questions, please, yeah, we'll have question session towards the end. And the other thing also that I want to tell you is please stay until the end of the session because we are going to talk about the study groups. Brooke, Haptam, and Kal, I have been very kind enough to create study groups on different factors. So they are going to tell us how they created the study groups. And if you have any questions or any feedback, you will give them. And if there are any of you who are not included in the study groups, also you can contact them and they can add you. And also some people who there could be many people who were in the study group and for some reason they are not attending the class also. So there could be cases where we have to merge study groups together. So it is good if we communicate, especially with Buruk, Haptam, and Kalai. Okay, so last time, this is a kind of review. Last time we said a mail application receives events. So the event gets triggered at the mail source, and then the processors process it and routes it to through a couple of phases. It routes it to the endpoint. And a mule application can have one or more flows. It is not necessarily one flow. One flow can call another flow. But the thing is, the main flow, it has a mule event to source, and there are different mule event to sources. So listener is one, and the scheduler is another one. Today we are focusing on scheduler, but on the way we are also learning other components. So a connected collection of mule components is called a flow, we said, and there are different flows. We are going to see different types of flows and how we use them in the next classes. But a flow has three components, we said. It has a source, which triggers the flow, or starts the flow, which is an endpoint, and one or more processors. The processors, we can have multiple processors. It could be very complex flow based on the business logic. There are also ways to make the flow like chunk by chunk, and then one flow calls the rest of them. So we will see all of these things. And we said one of the questions in the Kahoot quizzes we saw last time was for a mule flow to work or to compile. When you run it to get deep, to compile, it needs at least a processor. So a source and an error handler are optional, we said, but a processor is a must. So what am I showing here? Understanding this one is very key component, because we are going to, in our next classes, what we are going to do is we are going to observe how the meal event changes. So once a flow is triggered, there is a meal event. That meal event has something in it, and then that meal event, as it gets passed on to the next processors, the meal event, there will be new meal events, and we have to understand how the meal event changes as it travels along the flow. So here an event source starts it, there is a meal event. That meal event gets passed on to the first meal processor. The first meal processor, probably it could be reading some data from CSV. Another meal event processor could be getting other data from a database, for example, from AWS. And we need additional third data source. Maybe that data is residing in Google, for example. Then that processor gets that data. Another final processor could be joining them all together and aggregating, filtering them and aggregating them, and finally returning the final output. So understanding this concept is very important in MuleFlow. The event starts, the Mule event source, the source starts the flow. There is a Mule event. The Mule event has different components. We are going to see what the different components are and how they change as the event gets passed on from one processor to the next. And so there are different event sources. Last time we saw listener. It listens an HTTP request. When you send a request, the listener triggers a flow, and then the flow gets executed and it returns the result, for example. And there is, today we are going to see a scheduler. Another one is on new or updated file under the file module. So in a bucket or in a folder, if there is new data, do something. For example, if there is data coming every day, this one, it triggers a flow so that the data can be processed and inserted into a database maybe, or attach it to an email and send it to recipient. So you see, it is getting automated. It doesn't need people to do that. The Mule can do it by itself. Also on table row, we'll see on table row, on new message, VM listener, and so on. This one is, we are going to see them one by one with examples, so you will understand them clearly. Okay, let me move this one. Okay, so the scheduler triggers a flow when a time-based condition is met. That is easy. There are two ways to configure it. We are going to see both of them, how we can configure them. First we are going to understand and how we can do that, and then we'll get hands-on and do that in Anypoint Studio itself. Okay. So the first one is at regular intervals. For example, every 5 seconds, one Mule application could be checking a folder every 5 seconds, and if there are new data sets in that folder, process the data, and some part of it maybe we don't need it, just delete it. Some part of it we need it and insert it to a database, for one example. Or when the data comes into the folder, process it, and if some condition is met, then send email alerts or text message, phone alerts, for example. So this is how we can automate it using MuleSoft. And another example could be once in 24 hours, forward communication summary. For example, if you subscribe to some blog, for example, if there is, let's say, in my case, for example, there are different blogs that I subscribe to, like RStudio, Python, and so on and so on, and people ask different questions there, and I don't want every question to come to my email every time someone asks a question. The communication summary, I just want communication summary once every day, so we can schedule this also. Scan all the new communications at the end of the day, and then email it to the people who have subscribed to that website, for example. So these are scheduling at regular intervals. I think this is quite easy. Let me minimize this. The other one, probably this one could be new for many of you, but it is easy. Don't get overwhelmed when you see kind of many special characters. Just take some time to understand it. It is called Chron Expression. So in Chron Expression, we specify it is a datetime expression, and it consists of 6 required settings and another optional one. So year is optional. So we are specifying the datetime, and if we don't specify year, then it means just every year. So we are not required to specify the year, but if we want to our automated MuleFlow to run only in a specific year, then we can specify the year also. But the other 6 are shown here. So first, seconds, minutes, and hours, they start from 0. You see, seconds and minutes are from 0 to 59, hours from 0 to 23. So there is no AM and PM here, as you can see. You can understand if I say 14, the hour value, if I put 14, it means 2 PM. And the day of months is numbers from 1 to 31 based on the months. Months, they don't start from 0. Months and the day of week, they start from 1. As you can see, months is from 1 to 12, day of week is from 1 to 7. The other thing is we can put abbreviations for months and day of week. So January, for example, we put the 3 characters, JAN, such kind of thing. As I say, dir is optional, so we will practice how we can specify. For example, let's say I want to build some Mule application and I want it to run. Probably there is salary increment in the company, maybe twice a year. So I want to schedule it so that it can run in April 15 at midnight, and September 30 also at 2 AM kind of thing. So I can just schedule my flow so that it can get triggered based on the Chron expression. So now let's spend some time understanding how we can specify our Chron expression. Oh, okay. So for the first thing that I'm showing here is this one is just for the sake of completeness. Otherwise, I think all of us know it. So abbreviations of months and days are shown here. So you can specify lowercase also, but the abbreviations are uppercase. So it is good if you make it uppercase. Otherwise, your MuleSoft flow will work still. It will get triggered still if you put lower characters, lowercase also. Okay. So now special characters. Let's talk about special characters used in Chron expression. So if you put asterisk, it means all values. Like for example, for the hour place value, you may put asterisk. It means for in all hours. Or if you put asterisk for days, it means all days. So asterisk means all values. If you don't want if you want to cover all the range, you just put asterisk. Whereas question mark means not specified. I'm not specifying it. Just skip. It means skip it. Like so since we have, if you see here, let me get back to the previous slide. So in here we have, if you see number 4 and number 6. Number 4 is day of month. Number 6 is day of week. So there could be clashes if you specify. Like if I say for number 4, if I put asterisk, and for number 6, if I say weekdays only, like from Monday to Friday, then it will not work, because in number 4 I am saying all days, whereas in number 6 I am specifying only weekdays. So if we specify number 4, we skip number 6 using question mark for number 6. If we specify number 6, if I put the days of week, for example, if I am interested in Sunday and Friday, then for number 4, since it is known in the months which days of months are Sunday and Friday, I don't need to specify them in number 4. So I just skip it by putting a question mark. So question mark is skip and can be used for day of month or day of week only. And dash means range of values. For example, maybe we may want to run it from hour 10 to hour 15. So 10-15. So on the way, try to understand why we are using the Chron expression as compared to regular intervals. The regular interval is, if you are running it at a regular interval every 10 seconds, 10 minutes, or every day, or every some hours, it is easy, very intuitive, it works fine. But there are lots of cases where the regular frequency scheduling strategy doesn't work, and then during this time we use Chron expression. And comma means additional values, like it is end. Like so here 1 and 7, 1,7, it means end. If I want from 1 to 7, however, I will put 1-7. And this forward slash or slash means incremental values. It is like step. So for example, 1/7 means start at 1 and increment by 7 or increase it by 7. So it will be 1, next 8, next 15, and so on. So it keeps adding 7, but it starts at 5, at 1, I mean. We'll see examples. And L means last day of the week or the month. Like for example, if I want January 31st, I can just put for the month, for the yeah, for I can just put L and it is going to get it, or I can put L also for the last month of the year. So here we have examples. Let me accept this. If possible, please try to join in the beginning, because if you join after we get started, then it will be difficult for you to understand the rest of what we are talking about. So at least it should not be very difficult for you to join on time. Okay, we have this one. See this one, we have 3 Chron expressions. The first line 0, by the way, we separate each of them, the seconds value, minutes value, hours value, and so on. We separate them by space. If we put space, then it takes it as it is starting from seconds, and after space, then it is minutes, and so on. So we have 3 Chron expressions here, and I would like if you all of, or okay, let me just open it myself here. I can show you on here. You can practice to understand Chron expressions. I have added a link for this website. It is very nice. You can practice here. So what you can do is you can specify like the time settings you want from here, and it generates a Chron expression for you. Or you can bring a Chron expression and paste it here, and it tells you its meaning. So let's say, for example, let's generate one Chron expression, simple case here. So I want it to run maybe at the start of the second. So I have put for seconds, as you can see, I have selected 0 at the start of the second. For minutes, let's say I want to run it every 10 minutes, starting at at the middle. So let's say 30, this one. For hours, let's say I want to run it specific hours. I can select, so let me unselect this and maybe select this one and this one. For day, maybe I want to run it on Saturday and Tuesday. For months, maybe I want to run it at the end of the year and in May. For year, I want to, this applies only for 2022. After 2022, I want it to expire. I don't want it to run. So this is 2016, 2022 is this one. So you see the Chron expression, it has generated it here for me. So you can practice like that. Just you go to that website and select specific settings here. It generates a Chron expression for you here. So this one, it is saying at second 0, when 30 minutes into the hour, it starts 30 minutes into the hour, and then it runs every 10 minutes. And for hours 16 and 23, which is 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. And I want it to run for the months of April and December only. So here we have a question mark because we have specified the days of week here. If I say Monday and Friday, I don't want to put the day of month here. And you see, end is separated by comma. Monday and Friday, they are separated by comma. And you see April and December also, they are separated by comma. Maybe I can change, like for example, days of week. Let me go here. And this one, let me make it, okay, days of week. Just let's make it from Monday to Thursday, and select this one. Okay, this one, because I said specific, so what I can say is here, I think let's select this one, and I want it to start at day, this is day, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, I want it to start at day, for example, day of month. I want the day of week. Where is it? Okay, specific days of week, one or more. Okay. Yeah, so this one, once it generates a Chron expression for you, this Chron expression, you can copy it and bring it here and get its meaning. So let's get back to the examples that I have here. Like I said, you can practice on that website later, but see these ones. All of these, they mean the same thing. So second is 0, minute is 15, hour is 10, so it means 10:15 a.m. in the morning. Then for day of month, if you see the first row, for day of month we are putting a question mark, because day of week we have put asterisk. Since we are saying for all days of week, then we don't need to specify day of month. And this one is a month. So this one, the meaning is run this at 10:15 a.m. every day, every month. And the second row is also the same as the first row. The difference is we have added year, which is optional. In the first case, we didn't add year. See, second is here, minute is 15, hour is 10, day of month is question mark, month is asterisk, day of week is asterisk. We didn't have any place value for year. In the second row, we are putting year. Year is optional. And the difference between the first one and the second one is we have added year, which is optional, and also the question mark. We have in the first one, the question mark is in the day of month, whereas in the second one is day of week. If you make one of them all, then the other one will be all. So we can just skip it using question mark. And the third one, the last one, is the same as the second one. The only difference is there is no year, and year, since it is optional. All of these, they mean the same thing. So if you put this Chron expression in your scheduler in your Mule application, it is going to run at 10:15 a.m. every day in the morning. So yeah, as I said, also this one, if you could not understand it, you can just copy paste it. You go to this site that I showed. So we said the values were 0, 15, 10, question mark, asterisk, asterisk, for example. So describe the expression, it describes it for me. At 10:15 a.m. every day, you put your Chron expression, then it gives you its description. Okay, next one. This one, it is still 10:15 a.m., but we have specified a specific year. We want it only for 2019. Beyond 2019, it should not run. So the main thing here is, since we are talking about automation, since the program is going to take care of itself, we have to specify when it should run, and based on our expression, it will run when the time conditions are met, otherwise it will not. Okay. And this one, so you see it is at the start of the second, all minutes, you see minute value is asterisk, our value is 14, so 14 means 2 a.m. and day of months and months are asterisk, so all days of months, all months. And since we are saying all days of months, we don't need to specify the day of week. That's why you see a question mark there. But you see, it runs every minute at the start of the minute. It runs only when the hour is 14. So our 14 minutes from 2 p.m. to 2:59 p.m. So that's what this is saying. Run every minute starting at 2 p.m. and ending at 2:59 p.m. every day. And another one, these ones are increments. I have two examples with this one. So we have denominator and numerator here. The denominator is the increment. So in this case, our increment is 5, every 5. But when does it start? It starts at 2 p.m. because our value we have is 14. So it starts at 2 p.m. and ends at, since it is every 5 minutes, it is going to run at 2:55. Then after that, since our expires or invalidates, then it is not going to run. So it is starting at 0. You see, for the minute value, it is starting at the start of the minute and running every 5. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. We can make the start, we can make it another value. Probably it may start, for example, at 2 p.m. and 17 at 2 p.m. and 17 at 70 minutes past 2, for example, and run it every 9 minutes increment, for example. So if we are to do that, then the increment will be 9 and the numerator will be 17, for example. And I have this example, another example. So you see, for second, you have 1/2. All the rest are asterisk. What this means is, as we say, the increment, the denominator is 2, so it is running every 2 seconds. That we know. But when is it going to start? It is going to start 1 second into the minute. So it starts at second 1, then it runs every 2 seconds, starting from there. So every 2 seconds, starting at 1 second after the minute, it runs. So in this slide, we are showing about increment. So you can see how Chron expression, is very flexible. Here we have end. So you see, second value 1, minute value 1, hour value 1, day of month 1 and 7. And since we are specifying the day of month, we don't need the day of week. We skip it using question mark. So run the first second of the first minute of the first hour on the first and 7th day every month. So for month value, we have asterisk all months. For days of months, we have put 1 and 7. So the first and the 7th. For second, minute, hour, we have specified as 1, 1, 1. So when this condition is met, then our flow is going to get triggered. And this one, we are using L, as you can see, which means last. So at 11 p.m. So we have second is 0, minute is 23, hour is all hours, day of month is L, which is last, month is all months. So it runs on the last. Okay, so second, minute, hour, day of month, the last day of month for all months, it runs at 23 minutes past the hour. So at 23 minutes past the hour on the last day of the month, every month. Probably this is something that may need a little bit of practice. You can practice it by going to the websites that I showed, and once you spend some time on it practicing, you will understand it. This one is also the same thing, every second on the last day of the month. So this is Chron expression. So scheduler, we said, to summarize, scheduler is one of the source triggers in a flow. We said we have a source, processor, and error handler, and the source is what starts the flow. There are different source triggers. Listener is one of them that we saw last time, and scheduler is another one. Based on some time schedule, then our flow gets triggered, or it runs. And scheduler, it has 2 ways to configure it: at regular intervals or using a Chron expression. And as you have seen, Chron expressions are very flexible, where regular intervals are very intuitive, like every 5 seconds, every day, or every month, with regular frequency. But with Chron expression, we have more flexibility, and we can execute complex business logic. So now we have Kahoot time. I have 3 questions for Kahoot. As you can see, it is something that needs a little bit of thinking. So I have assigned 2 minutes for each question. Try your best. If you don't answer them, though, that is fine. I understand this is something that needs thinking. Okay, so Kahoot, where is it? Okay. My internet is misbehaving for some reason. I should bookmark it. Okay. So let me log in. Perfect. I have, so as we said, questions, we are going to talk about questions and also study groups at the end. So please stay until the end. Okay, go to where are my Kahoot? Okay. This one. So every question is 2 minutes, I think. Start. You can refer the slides if you want. You can also test on this website. Since you have 2 minutes, you can bring them and test it here. Count starters. Generating game pin. Please join and try your best. Let's make it fun. 86D 8855. Okay, out of 88 people, only 40 people are able to use Kahoot. That's not good. PDF. That's nice. I like it. Okay, we can get started, I think. But those of you who don't know how to use Kahoot, you simply search in your browser kahoot.it, then you put the game pin and you give any username, and then you can participate in the questions. So the reason that I'm having Kahoot questions is, so in every session I am preparing questions that are similar to what you will get in the certification test, the certification examination, and also in interviews. It also helps to understand the course material very well. So I will have questions in every session, and the questions to make it interactive. That's the reason we are having Kahoot sessions. For those of you who were not there before, who joined the class for the first time. Okay, quiz starters. So at 10:50 a.m., 10:50 in the morning, on the 31st day in December. So we want it only December, the end of December, which is 31st, in the morning in 2022. So the year should be 2022, the month should be December, the day should be 31st, and the hour should be the 10:50 a.m. So we have values for hour and minute, so second is 0, that means. Second is 0, minute is 50, hour is 10, day is 31, month is 12, day of week, since we are specifying the day itself by specifying 31st, we don't need day of week. So for the day of week, we just skip it by putting a question mark, and the year, it has been specified 2022. One of the tricky things to remember here is the value for day of week and day of month. Day of week comes towards the end, just before year. Like day of weeks are Monday, Tuesday, and so on. We put it before year. That means after month. Whereas day of month, we put it after hour. I think this is easy for all. It seems for almost all of you, because all of you have already answered it before the time expires. That's good. Two seconds is done. 22 correct. Okay, so probably one of the things. Okay, which one is it? Okay, so the first one, it doesn't have months. See, it doesn't have months, and we are saying in December we have to specify the month value. So the first one, since it doesn't have months, it cannot be an answer. The second one, I mean, if you go down, the orange color, it doesn't have value for day of week. On the right, it doesn't have day, the first one, the upper one, whereas the lower one, it fulfills the condition. So on the right, the bottom one is the correct one. Okay, thank you guys. Next question, they will get tricky now. Every 5 minutes, starting at 30 minutes past the hour. That means I want to start it at the middle of the hour. Every 5 minutes after that, between 11 p.m. and 11:59 p.m. So I want it to run at night. Between 11 p.m. So if it is p.m. now, you have to add 12 to it, because we said our range is from 0 to 23. So that is 11 p.m. is 11 p.m. is hour 23. And Monday to Friday, 2 we use dash. And June and July, we separate it by comma because it is end. Whereas if it is range, like Monday through Friday, we put dash. Thirty seconds remaining. And remember, in one value you don't put space. Like for example, if I want June and July for months, I can't put June space comma July. June and July should be together. The only thing that separates them is comma. I should not, for the same, if it is in the same placement, I don't put dash. I don't put space. Okay, a little bit challenging, right? This one. So the red color is the correct one. Many of you have said the blue one and the green one. So let's see what the problem with the others one is. Let's start with the blue one, for example. So the blue one, the hour is 11. I was talking about this. So since it is PM, hour cannot be 11. It should be 23 because our ranges, we said, this one, as you practice it, you will memorize it well. Hour is from 0 to 23. We don't put PM and AM. So in our question, since it is at 11 PM, 23 corresponds to 11 PM. So the green color is not an answer because of that. The orange one, what's wrong with the orange one? Let's see. With the orange one, we have, it is Monday to Friday, June and July, and you see, if I specify day of week, I have specified Monday to Friday. If I specify day of week, I can't specify day of month. If like the day of month that you see here is an asterisk, which means all days. In one side I'm saying all days, on another I'm specifying only Monday to Friday. So there is collision because of that. I mean, the logic doesn't make sense. The logic itself is not correct. If I specify day of week, I don't specify day of month, and vice versa. And the last one on the bottom right, the problem with that is, oh, this one is Monday and Friday because it is comma. It should be dash. Okay. So now we have the last one, third one. Perfect. At 11:50 PM, only on Saturday and Wednesday, only September and December, only in 2022. For example, you have some company application in your company that it should run at the specified time, and you have to schedule it in your meal application. Which one do you use? One of the trick things here, like when you put for the same placement, like day of week, for example, you don't put a space. You see Sunday space Wednesday is incorrect. Sunday comma space Wednesday is incorrect. It should be Sunday comma Wednesday without space, for example. And also different placement values, we don't separate them by comma but by space. Like we separate them with space. For example, seconds value with minutes value, we put space in between, and so on. Perfect. We see 22 people who got it correct. Okay, who can, from those who got it correct, who can explain why what they have chosen is correct? Which means the blue one. Why is the blue one correct? Why are the rest, what's the error with the rest of them? Desalin, can you explain?
Yeah. If you can see the red one, there is a space before Sunday, before Wednesday, so it could not be correct.
Perfect.
In the yellow, similarly, there is a space before Wednesday.
Okay.
So it's wrong. On the green one, the location of day of the week and the month is exchanged.
Perfect. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
the correct answer is the blue one.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Perfect. Yep. Cool. Podium time. And number one is Gab. Okay. Thank you very much, guys, for participating. Now we can go to the next session, to the next part. So, what do I have next? Okay, things to remember. Let me make this full screen. I hope it will work. Oh, let me first close my Kahoot. Okay, yeah. I have to research why full screen is not working with Google Sheets for me. Okay. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I'm using a computer that the kids were using, and it is kind of somewhat old, so sometimes it is slow to respond. So I apologize for that. Okay, important notes to remember. Oh, that's fine then. Okay, important notes to remember when we use scheduler. Okay, schedulers use the same time zone as the machine on which Mule is running. I think this is intuitive. If the Salon is running a Mule app in Ethiopia, it will use the time zone for that. And if someone is running a Mule app in their computer in Seattle, it is going to use the time zone for that. And if I run where I am located, it will be New York time zone. So when you use it in your locally, it uses the local time zone. If an application is running in Cloud Hub, if we deploy it in Cloud Hub, then it uses universal time zone. It uses UTC, regardless of the geographic region on which the application is running. And another thing is the third bullet point. Like, for example, let's say you have a flow that takes that may take 10 seconds to complete, but you schedule it to run every 5 seconds. Then that means it could get triggered before the flow is complete, and there is a way for it to wait, to not re-trigger it if it has not yet completed, and we use a disallow concurrent execution property. And the last one, what the last one is saying is in a Mule runtime engine cluster. So if you have cluster of computers, like for example, let's say if you rent, we are going to see, by the way, with Mule, we will use so that you can have, for those of you who didn't have cloud experience, so that you can have cloud experience, we will create free accounts with Amazon and Google and play with it. So you can rent cluster of computers, consider of many computers that are working in synergy. You give them some task, they share the task, each one of them, they do their job, and finally they give the output. Each one of them, they give the output to one of them. So that one, the main one that coordinates them is called like a master or primary node. So there is a primary node and there are other worker nodes or other worker computers, you can think. So when we schedule, it gets triggered. When you use scheduler, what this sentence is saying is, when you use a scheduler, it gets triggered on the main or the primary node. So I think that is intuitive, because the primary node is what is managing the execution. So it triggers it and it passes it to the rest of the workers so that they can get their share of the tasks and complete it. So these are important things to remember. I got it. It is, you can read more. It is from the MuleSoft documentation. Their documentation is really good, by the way. So it is good if you develop a habit of going to their documentation and read what is there. Okay, now this hands-on, I will just, since we have only some time, I will show you I have built a simple meal flow of these screenshots. I will show you what the output looks like. Then you can try it by yourself following these slides. So in here, I have this simple meal flow. So scheduler is here. You just get it if you go to core module. Under core module, where do we have scheduler? Okay, it is here. So you get it here. You drag and drop scheduler here. And when I click scheduler on scheduler here, I'm sorry. Let me remove this one. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So my computer is not responding. I want to delete this. Okay, so I have this scheduler. The first in the PowerPoint slide, what it says is the first one is testing we have under the scheduling strategy, we have fixed frequency. We have fixed frequency and the Chron expression. So the fixed frequency is, it specifies the frequency. So here I'm specifying every 10 seconds, and you can also say the delay, like once you run it, for how much should it wait first. So I'm specifying every 10 seconds this flow will get executed. Okay, so every 10 seconds the rest of the meal components are going to get executed. And what am I doing here in the transform message? The transform message also you get it from the core component, from the core module. There should be transform message. It is this one. Just drag and drop it. And the output type here, I changed it to JSON. By default, it is Java. And I'm creating an object. If you remember here in our first or second class, we're talking about the difference between JSON data and and XML and CSV. So this is called an object when we put it in a curly braces. So what this one is saying is this is a function. It gives us the date and the time of the mission that it is being executed on. So it is going to print triggered on the date and the time. So I'm creating that payload, that data. You can't say what we are going to discuss payload and other things tomorrow, but just this one, it is just getting when it was triggered, because every 10 seconds we said here we want it to get triggered. In here we said we want it to get triggered every 10 seconds. So once it gets triggered, this one, it is recording for us the date and the time that it was triggered, and this one is writing it to a file called scheduler regular frequency.json. So this file, it doesn't exist. It is going to, once I deploy this app, every 10 seconds it is going to write this output triggered, then the date time, then after 10 seconds again triggered, the same thing. It writes it. And also in the console, in here also so logger, what it does is the logger, we said, it just prints some information to the console for us to see or to debug what is happening. So in the logger, what I have put here is simply triggered at, and in MuleSoft, if you start with # square bracket, anything that you put inside this, it is a function. So this is just a string, like triggered at, it understands it as triggered at, just text as is, whereas what you put inside this is a function. So we to use a function in logger, for example, we use with this # square bracket and then the now function. Maybe I can show it in the slide. It could be bigger here. So it is this one. So this is what I have put triggered. You see, I'm starting with # followed by square bracket. Then I have this function, just that gets the date and the time. And I think you can try this and we can discuss tomorrow maybe, since we don't have time. Let me show the output, what it looks like. So in my console, it prints like this. So two things here. See the what I have highlighted. The time zone, you see it says America, New York, because that is where I am at. And also you see here the second value, for the second value, you see it increases every 10 seconds. It starts at 20, 30, 40, 50, then minute, then 10, 20, 30, 40. So this shows it is working as expected. And also I opened also the file, the scheduler regular frequency. This one also, as you can see, the increment is, I'm just checking the increment. We are going to see real applications, real world applications of scheduler, but in this tutorial, in this session, what we are doing is we are checking if it behaves as expected. So as you see, I scheduled it to run every 10 seconds, and the output shows 10-second increment. I have an exercise for Chron Expression. So the Chron Expression is to get triggered every 5 seconds, starting at 17 seconds past the minute. So 17 seconds past the minute, it gets triggered. Then it gets triggered every 5 seconds. That means 17, 22, 27, 32, 37, and so on. This will be the output. So I have put here what the output should look like. I have here 17, 22, 27, 32, and so on. And here also the same thing. So when you get time, check this, build a simple Mule app following what I showed you, and see if you get the same output. And those of you who get errors, I think it is good now if we create a study group so that we can help each other.